Hi everyone, Alex here. I just wanted to provide a little update on my journey. I am officially 15 weeks pregnant, so that's super exciting. I don't have to go into the clinic or OB appointments as frequently anymore, so that's also a relief. My next appointment isn't actually for the next few weeks. I'm just, continuing on my current medication regimen, prenatals, staying healthy, staying active, communicating with the intended parent, communicating with the Giving Tree agency, getting through all that stuff that, just being kind of just a open book with them and letting them know, how I'm feeling, how things are going, if I have any concerns. So far it's been really nice, really, really good. I don't have any issues. I don't have any sickness, not really even showing yet. So I hopefully will start showing in the next couple weeks here. But for now, all my clothes are still fitting totally normal, totally fine. And there's no issues on my end. So the first topic I'm going to kind of talk about in more detail is the matchmaking process. So initially when you apply to the agency, they'll collect all your information, they'll ask for pictures and things like that so that they can create their profile. This profile that they create gets uploaded into their own personal platform where intended parents are the only ones that can really see you. It's not like a public platform like social media or anything like that. It's only for intended parents. Intended parents can log in and they kind of go through all the profiles that people have available for all the intended surrogate candidates. So they will, go through the profile if they're interested in meeting with one. They'll reach out to the case manager with Giving Tree and the agency, and they will request that they, answer maybe more questions that they might have, or potentially just ask for, a Zoom meeting or something like that where, they meet with someone over the phone. So they will schedule that with the agency. The agency will then reach out to the surrogate or intended surrogate, letting them know hey, there is a intended parent that is interested in meeting with you to be their surrogate. You can meet with them. Usually it's 30 to 40 minute meeting that's set up where they will, ask you some questions about your life, what you like, maybe what you do for work, maybe, if you don't work, what is your home life like, just personal kind of questions just to get to kind of know you and who you are as a person. At that time, you also can ask questions to the intended parent where you can say and ask them if, what their interests are, what do they intend to do, what has their journey been like with IVF and surrogacy. Sometimes it's their second surrogate journey. Sometimes it's their third or fourth. Sometimes they take a break and they come back to the surrogate journey, an IVF journey. So it really just kind of depends, but that time is really a good window for surrogates and intended parents to really get to know each other and really test the waters and see if it's going to be a good match. Usually after that process and after that meeting, you could possibly meet again if you'd like, if you're still maybe have a few additional questions or things like that. All of it is done through the agencies, and that's kind of how it remains until legal process is cleared. Once all questions are answered, everyone has good feelings, good vibes with everyone else, it seems like it's going to be a good match between the intended parents and the surrogate. They will communicate their pick with the agency, and then the agency will let them know hey, the intended parents really liked you and they wanted to pick you as their surrogate, and you as a surrogate have the right, to say yeah, I love him too, I definitely want to be their surrogate, this was great. Or if you didn't quite like them, or whatever the situation may be, you can decline and say I want to keep trying, or whatever it is. It's really up to you. And that's why one of the things I really liked about Giving Tree and my journey with them so far is that they really make sure that the surrogates feel that way, feel like they are appreciated and comfortable with what the intended parents want in their surrogate journey and how things will go forward. Hi, everyone. So the next topic I'm going to kind of touch on is the legal process. Now, the legal process is a few steps after matching. So once you're matched with an intended parent, they usually then do, and when I say they, the agency does a psych evaluation. So they set up where a trained psychiatrist will interview you, and that usually takes about an hour. So they kind of ask you questions about your home life, your childhood. They're really like studying you. So it is a video call. Nothing to be nervous about. It was very casual, just a casual conversation about your life and you know how comfortable you are, making sure that you're a sound person, that you're understanding the what you're kind of signing up for, because obviously it is very cumbersome on the parent and the surrogates as well. So there's just a lot of steps involved, and you're bringing a child into this world for someone else. So after the psych evaluation, then comes medical clearance, and medical clearance, you'll go out to the IVF clinic, and they'll do basically a physical on you and a ton of blood work where you'll get a whole bunch of things done for you, and then you'll be examined, ultrasounds, blood work done, and all of that gets processed for you. So once you get through your psych eval, the next process is, or step in the process is with legal. They they assign two separate agencies or two separate law firms that will work with you and your intended parent or intended parents on basically all the legal stuff that goes along with being a surrogate. So it has to deal with, making sure it's very clear that you have no rights to the child, that the child is for the intended parent and the intended parent only. This is where the intended parents can define anything else that's needed to make sure that you're safe, so they can define that, they don't want their intended parent to get their hair bleached while they're pregnant with their child. It just goes into detail about everything. So what to do if the child no longer has a heartbeat, what to do if the child is born prematurely, what happens with all of the finances for the surrogate, all of the intended pay that the surrogate is expected to get. All of this is defined very clearly in the legal document. Most of them follow like a very simple structure, and it's very similar across different contracts within intended parents and surrogacies. For me, it did take a couple back and forths, just a couple comments, just to make sure that, we're all on the same page, that we agree to all these things that are happening and what happens, during different stages of the surrogacy, what happens if something happens to the intended parent or intended parents. All of this is just clearly defined, and the attorneys or lawyers will go over that with you. So they'll go over it with the intended parent. They'll also go over it with the surrogate. So they'll go into detail about, hey, this is what this means. This is your opportunity to ask any questions. If you are not comfortable with something or you're just not sure about something, feel free to ask. They can put comments within the document, or they can ask the intended parent's lawyer to, clarify, what they mean by a certain section, or, whatever it is. So my biggest advice is to make sure you're just comfortable with what you're signing for the contract, because it is 100% legal binding, and whatever you're signing saying that I will do, it's a contract, so it binds you for you to do that. And if you breach the contract, then it is quite an issue where you may have to potentially pay back any intended parents for their expenses that have been used. It can cause a lot more legal action potentially against you if you breach the contract, and then obviously you potentially are putting the child at risk by breaching the contract as well. Just make sure that legal contract is 100% sound and you understand every word in it, and that you are 100% comfortable with every word in it, because again, it is a legal contract. The next topic I'm going to kind of touch on is the transfer day. Depending on when you get cleared by legal, and so that's when both lawyers say, yep, the documents needed have been signed and approved. We have received what we needed. You are free basically to proceed with the IVF clinic. Depending on when that is, and depending on when your cycle is, will depend kind of when things get going. Usually they do move pretty quickly after that. So after legal, they gave me a full schedule of here's what's going to happen over the next few days. It was actually the next few weeks. So it was actually the whole month. You only have 2 or 3 days to get your blood work done. And then you really only have like 2 or 3 days to start your medication. And medication starts about, for me, it was about 2 weeks before my transfer. So it started out very regular, just tablets twice a day, nothing too crazy at the moment. So as things got closer to ovulation, that's going to be the key on when they are trying to do the transfers. So they want the blood work done, and then they want the results provided to them same day. They want the results of what your blood work is, just so that they can keep track of it as closely as possible, and do any changes that may be needed as closely as possible. It's really, really important for surrogacy or surrogates to make sure that they're taking their medication as prescribed by the doctor. Once the medication is kind of, flowing through your blood and your blood work is showing good results, the IVF clinic is comfortable scheduling a transfer date. They'll go ahead and schedule a transfer day. And then this whole time as well, you're communicating with the agency on your results. The agency is also communicating with the IVF clinic. The intended parents are being kept up to date on kind of what's going on, what's happening, how are your blood results, are we tracking to a transfer date. Once everything looks good and you get your last blood work done, they go ahead and schedule that transfer date. And that transfer date can really just be up in the air. Once that final blood work comes in, that's when they're going to give you hopefully the transfer window, and then very closely after they'll work with the IVF clinic to schedule you on a transfer day. And so it might vary by a few days, just depending on the availability of the IVF doctor. Once the IVF clinic and the agencies work out the exact day that they're comfortable doing the transfer, they'll just communicate that with you, make sure that you're okay with the day as well, and the agency will go ahead and book everything for you. So they'll book your flight, they'll book the hotel, they'll book any sort of additional, usually because you can bring a support system for you. Agency will communicate all this with you, with the surrogate and the intended parents, and then the IVF clinic, letting them know like, hey, we scheduled the flight, we scheduled the day, your appointment's all set, and then this is the hotel you're going to be staying at. Let me know if you have any questions, and everything else in between. So the day of the transfer, though, is, for me personally, it was very mellow. I think my transfer was like at 11:30 in the morning, nothing crazy. Had a very casual day, very normal. They gown you up and everything, obviously for health purposes and making sure that it's a sterile environment, or as sterile as they can make it. It was more or less like pretty comfortable. I just wore, casual clothes, nothing crazy. And then, the transfer took place. It was uncomfortable. It was, mild discomfort, but it was not any sort of pain. They don't really give you anything, obviously, because they want to make sure that you're healthy and clear-minded for the transfer itself. There's no need for any sort of numbing agents. There's no need for any sort of anti-anxiety medication. It's very relaxed. They get you cleaned up. They insert a catheter past your cervix, and then they take the embryo. Usually, obviously, it's a fertilized egg. They'll go over, how they grade it, and, they'll have an ultrasound usually available, so you can even watch everything that's going on. I saw the catheter being inserted, and then I saw, a little speck travel through the catheter, and that was the fertilized embryo being transferred. And then that was it, done. They remove everything, and you get cleaned up, and you change back into your normal clothes, and you de-gown, and that's it. They check you out, and you go home that day. So, or I guess back to the hotel that day. Actually, I went to then go have lunch. And then I went to the movie theater and watched a movie with my support person. 9 days after, I had my appointment with the clinic to confirm if I was pregnant, and that was via blood work. And it showed positive, so he stuck, and the rest, is kind of history at this point. So been updating you guys periodically on that, and things have just been going like really smoothly, really good. Can't complain really about anything. Obviously, though, you want to keep that to yourself for a moment. You want to double check that and not, give the intended parents any sort of false hope until you get that positive blood work done by usually about a week after the transfer.